right. So speaking on your arch rival Texas, what do you think about Steve Sarkisian and what they're doing up there? I saw you dropped a few YouTube videos once they landed Evan Stewart, if I'm correct, who's now decommitted from Texas. But what are your thoughts on Steve Sarkisian?
Didn't y'all do this with Tom Herman already? You hired the offensive coordinator who won a national championship?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Who's the starting quarterback?
I think Hudson Card fits Steve Sarkisian's system better, but then again, I'm a Casey Thompson fan because I love his dedication to the program. He looks like he's really bought in OU legacy, a guy that wants to come make a legacy at Texas. So it's like a dividend. I don't know my honest thoughts on it. RJ, my honest thoughts, completely from a Texas fan, I hated the hire at first. I did not like it. I thought, and I got
want?
Huh?
Who did you want?
I would have preferred we kept Tom Herman for another year. Because I think that I want me to be completely honest. I think Texas, bearing Iowa State's really good next year, we'll see if they can talk about it before. If they can truly live up to that success factor, we'll see if they fall off this year or not. They're not used to what they just did. Obviously, they just had a program history year. But I thought that Tom Herman, Steve Sarkisian comes in, brings a great staff. One thing that he did that Herman didn't do is you don't bring a staff from Houston to Texas. The odds that actually works out very low. Took him 4 years to actually change that staff. But the problem I have with the Steve Sarkisian hires, if Steve Sarkisian comes in and be successful year 1 and 2, he's successful based off Tom Herman. You know, like Tom Herman came in, recruited well.
What's the level for success? Like, what's the floor for that?
I think Big 12 championship, but I don't think Texas will win a Big 12 championship within the next 3 years. That's the thing. I think going to Big 12 championship games. The problem is, RJ, the problem is legitimately, right? Texas OU fan is OU is just a damn good program right now. Like there's a program where, sadly for OU,
no, put OU over there in a second, right? Because we don't have to make it OU Texas. Did you beat Iowa State? Did you beat Texas Christian? I mean, I'm asking, did you beat Oklahoma State?
We did beat Oklahoma State.
Okay, right, and they were number 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so start with those, because I mean. It is not a take to say that Oklahoma is in a class unto itself because they've won 6 straight conference championships. And because when Oklahoma goes to the college football playoff, they get their asses kicked. But when we talk about Texas and success, man, we keep saying resources, right? We keep saying how much money do you have? We keep saying you can get most every kid in Texas that you want. Matter of fact, the year that Jalen Waddle signed with Alabama, the top 15 recruits in the state went to Texas or Texas A&M, right? So as much as anything, compete with A&M, right? Yeah. Like, be better than A&M. Like, I think that's the floor, right, that you have to meet if you're Sarkisian. Stop comparing yourselves to Oklahoma, because if you're better than A&M, you're going to be in that conversation. Plus, A&M is much more of a threat to you than OU. I mean, that's full stop. Like, it's the other flagship university. They get a lot of the research money. They have a lot of alumni that live in the Houston area that send their kids to Houston schools that look at Texas and go, I don't know. You know, it's also in another part of the state that you don't do well in fundraising. I think that if you are good, comparing
Texas to Texas A&M right now is almost a dead argument. There's no point the two play each other. Like, we can sit here and no, listen, RJ, listen to what I'm saying here. Is you can sit here and debate that recruiting battle is this, recruiting battle this. A&M's main recruiting pitch isn't that they're better than Texas, that they're in the SEC. We've known that for a while, so why would we sit here and compare a program that won't play a head-to-head? Like, you see what I'm saying there? I think you're basically what you're saying is Texas needs to lower their standards to A&M's level when what is
who won the Orange Bowl?
Genuinely, genuine
question. Who won the Orange Bowl?
Huh?
Who won the Orange Bowl?
Who won the Sugar Bowl in 2018?
Exactly.
But why are we comparing New Year's Six Bowl wins? And not to mention, they had a very fabricated Orange Bowl win. They got the easiest matchup in New Year's Six matchup that they could have gotten. Come on, RJ. But you also know
people would have said Iowa State got that with Oregon.
Easiest path to win the New Year's Six Bowl this year.
No, I'm not trying to lower Texas to A&M. I am saying that if you are consistently better than A&M, the beating OU stuff will come. Like, it just because all you have to do is take care of your state. Like, the reason that I think it gets into Texas folks' cross so much that OU does well is because the roster is built from the state of Texas, right? But that's been true of Baylor, Houston, A&M, TCU. I mean, it used to be Nebraska went down there to go get players. So I think in terms of that, I think in terms of be the best in your state, in the biggest state, in what is probably the fourth most high school football rich talent state in the country, behind Florida, Georgia, California.
Hold on, you're putting Texas behind Florida, Georgia, and California in terms of talent?
Blue chips. Like when you take a look at the composite, right? I'm not. That's not my opinion. That's how many 4 and 5 stars come out of those states.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. I guess if you're talking like blue chip overall depth, then you'd be talking overall depth, and then Texas is the most overall depth deep state in terms of finding. And that's the problem. Listen, RJ, that's the problem with Texas and recruiting. Is Texas doesn't go OU, prime example. You come into Texas and recruit, right?
Ohio State does it too.
You actually go land the under radar guys who are going to end up being ballers from Texas, but Texas doesn't seem to do that. They want the 5-star. They want that blue chip guy, and that blue chip guy doesn't end up panning out.
Who is Bijan Robinson if not a blue chip guy? Or Jordan Whittington or Jake Smith?
From Arizona.
Yeah.
But you're saying Texas.
Roshan Johnson.
Huh?
I mean, you want to stick with Texas, Roshan Johnson.
Roshan Johnson's career.
Where's Malcolm Epps from?
Huh?
Where's Malcolm Epps from?
Texas? I don't know where. I know he was going to go to Alabama, and they had him panned out as a tight end. Malcolm Epps hasn't really panned out, so I honestly don't know where he's from. I could be wrong.
To your original question, like I like Steve Sarkisian as an offensive mind, but I liked Tom Herman as an offensive mind. But that's not the job at Texas, right?
Yeah.
And being a head coach is way different than being an offensive coordinator, play caller. It's one of the reasons I still marvel at what Jimbo Fisher and Lincoln Riley and other head coaches who are play callers, quarterback coaches can do. And if that's the recipe, then that's the recipe. I just don't always think that that's going to work for you.
Yeah, I think Texas has gotten to that point where they see OU's offensive system, and now they think that if you have that banger power offense, that it's going to equivalent to success in the Big 12, which obviously has not panned out in any way. Okay, so let's bounce off the Texas question, because RJ, we could go at that for hours if we really wanted to. But
Texas is a big deal, dude.
Huh?
Texas is a big deal. It's always going to be a big deal.
I know. That's what's so hard. Is like I got to sit here, RJ, all the time, and being a Texas fan, I just know that the brand is huge, and I don't have an excuse for Texas being.
How did you get to be a Texas fan?
Huh?
How did you get to be a Texas fan?
My mom went to UT, born and raised in San Antonio. So, of course, if you're from Texas and you're not from the Houston area, like you said, you're a Texas fan. Okay, it's just how it goes. Like you don't grow unless your family went to A&M. You grow up. Texas is the flagship state. I'm 19 years old, so they were good until I turned about can't do math now, until I was about Mac Brown got fired when I was about 11 years old. They just started that they were going to go on this downward slope. And I think the Tom Herman era, though, that taught me from being a Texas fan, I think that was one of the brightest years of my life, because it was actually Charlie Strong to Tom Herman. RJ, we need to get into it, but Charlie Strong era was rough. That was very sad moments for a Texas fan. And over here, OU, you got upcoming coach Lincoln Riley, y'all living y'all's best life. And then Tom Herman gets hired, and it looks like we're on an upward trajectory. And then we go stagnant. And it stinks, RJ. I mean, I love being a Texas fan, but it stinks at the same time.
You became a Texas fan during the best time to be a Texas fan ever, period.
Yep.
But outside of the Mac Brown years, Texas has been trash since integration. And
yet,
the expectations you have for them, I think, are the reason that you get let down. That's not who you've been.
But it wouldn't just be my expectations. It's like a whole college football world of expectations for Texas every year. It's Texas this, Texas that, and then Texas loses to TCU every other year or every year.
Do you remember a time when Ohio State wasn't good?
No.
Okay. So
It's could have said the same for OU, RJ.
But I'm bringing it up. No, I remember a time when OU wasn't good.
Yeah.
Take about 94 to about 98, throw it into the trash can. But the reason I brought it up is if Ohio State was as underperforming as Texas, we would talk about them. But we're going to talk about Ohio State too because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So don't take it hard.
No,
right? Take it as what it is.
Yeah, 100%. I read chat. Chat's like over here thinking I'm mad about it, but like it's just a grown man talking about football, and I'm used to Texas being kind of a laughing. Like I gotta get on here, RJ. Like you think football was rough? Imagine having a team where the whole country is like, oh, you're at least Elite Eight, Final Four bound, and they lose round one. I was like, sheesh.